The Surface Duo 2 leaks are absolutely beginning to fully break loose, and I've got a couple of things I got to talk about with you today. So over the course of today, a certain news article was tweeted at me a couple of times, and I was asking what I thought about this. Now, this article comes from laptopguide.com. Actually, it's mylaptopguide.com. And this article talks about a 5G Microsoft device going through FCC certification. And for some reason in this article, they start referencing this Surface Solo concept that was made, last year, literally a year ago on the launch day of Surface Duo. This thing was posted. There is zero justification for them referencing this concept picture, because what they're referencing here, this particular FCC certification, is referring to Surface Duo 2, okay? So if you see this article from My Laptop Guy where they talk about a Surface device and possible release in March and all this stuff, they're pulling this out of thin air. This is Surface Duo 2. And honestly, they should know this, because if you actually read the FCC filing, it says this device supports two configurations. One is with the screen open, one is with the screen closed. Tell me how that makes any sense for this concept. Stop writing clickbait. It's annoying. Don't do this. And if we dig a little bit deeper into what we do have here, so let's look at device capabilities, because there's actually some interesting stuff there. So obviously we're getting multi-band LTE. Obviously we're getting 5G. We're getting 802.11 Wi-Fi. That's all there. Blah, 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 blah. Bluetooth, of course, NFC. So we expected that, and that is there. We're going to skip this for just a second. UWB is ultra wideband. That's another 5G term. But then again, so wireless power transfer. That is FCC's terminology for wireless charging. When you see wireless power transfer, they mean wireless charging. Now, I've told you already a couple times, wireless charging isn't happening on Surface Duo 2 because it's too thin. Take a normal phone and put on a wireless charger, it gets hot. Take a super thin device that has less mass to dissipate heat, it's going to get really hot. What does this mean? Does this mean that I was wrong? Does this mean that the sources I was hearing things from were wrong? That people like Windows Central were wrong? Well, maybe. I mean, it's possible that we just were wrong and they figured something out late in the game, and now this is up and running. That's not impossible. However, there are two other options for this. Option number one, this is just an error and it's just false. It's just wrong. And this has actually happened before. If we go back to this article from Droid Life in July of 2020, this is Surface Duo, and guess what? It said it had NFC, and it didn't. So the FCC can and has been incorrect about these things in the past. They could be just simply incorrect here as well. That's option number one. Option number two, besides, of course, they're just being wireless charging and we were wrong, is that rather than having wireless charging for the Surface Duo 2, is that in fact what we're getting is some sort of a wireless charging capacity for the Surface Pen. Now, you guys know as well as I do that some of these newer Surface Pens do support an inductive magnetic wireless charging. Is it possible that Surface Duo 2 will be able to have the Surface Pen magnetically attached to the back of it, thereby keeping that pen stowed away, so to speak, but also charging that Surface Pen? All of these things are possible. If I had to bet on one, I bet Duo still doesn't have wireless charging in the way that we think that the FCC filing here is indicating. Now, it's also important just for validity's sake here. We've already talked about how this thing talks about opening and closing and things like that, which clearly means it's Surface Duo. There's a little bit more evidence here too. Look at the software and firmware. Build number developer generic 2021.728.20. Now, why is that relevant? Well, if you go to the changelog page for Surface Duo and you look at the way they format their build numbers, 2021.817.35. Well, that is in the same sort of formatting as Surface Duo 2 appears to be in this FCC filing. Now, also point out here to you, August was .721, September is 817. Well, that puts this build number squarely between August and September. What does that mean? I don't know, but that means that that's when it happened. This thing was finalized after the August update for Surface Duo, yet before the September security update for Surface Duo. With all that being said, Surface Duo 2 has passed through the FCC, which means its launch is imminent, and its launch is in fact very imminent. We're going to have all these details September the 22nd. Again, I will be live streaming that event. But before I go, I do want to point out that I've been seeing this popping up, a little bit of extra detail about the triple camera setup on the back of Surface Duo 2. Apparently the consensus from what has been leaking out is that we are getting a 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, and a 16 megapixel ultra wide, and that the selfie camera will be a 12 megapixel. Now, there was thought early on that it would be triple 12s, but apparently the ultra wide is going to be a 16 megapixel, according to some insiders reporting online. So guys, stay tuned for more content just like this as we get nearer and nearer to that September 22nd live stream. I look forward to seeing all of you guys and gals there. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.